Hello and welcome to Weird Around Illinois. In today's society, everything seems to be divided on one side or another. Everybody is either a good guy or a bad guy. So let's apply that same logic to the cryptid world, right or wrong. And let's take a look at Bigfoot. Is Bigfoot a good guy or a bad guy? Is he good or evil? Let's talk about it, and let's get weird. When you start to talk about Bigfoot, there are usually two images that come to mind. One is the playful, funny Bigfoot from Harry and the Hendersons and various TV commercials and animated movies and things like that. And the other one is the vicious, snarling creature that rips people apart in the woods, like in the movie Willow Creek or The Legend of Boggy Creek or something like that. My question, I guess, that we'll have to address at some point is, does either of these images really apply, or is the truth somewhere in the middle? Maybe we should take a look at the evidence first. Like, what sort of interactions does Bigfoot have with people? I mean, the first obvious one is, does Bigfoot attack people?
Yeah, it seems like every now and then there's reports of people getting attacked by Bigfoot, but it's pretty rare. So, one of the most common ones that I hear about is rock throwing. Mm-hmm. Throwing big rocks at people, almost as a way to get them out. Sometimes it seems like they're purposely missing.
I would think so, because you never hear of anybody getting hit by these rocks.
Yeah.
Which is good, because some of the rocks are pretty big, and if he did hit somebody with one of these rocks, they'd probably be dead.
Yeah.
Yeah, Bigfoot's got some strength. He must have some good control if he's potentially missing all of it.
Yeah.
Good control.
Yeah.
Unless he's just really bad and he's trying to hit them.
Oh. In that case, poor Bigfoot.
Yeah, if he's nearsighted or something.
And then there's also reports, which I don't hear much of at all, really, like Bigfoot charging at people. And
I've heard of it a few times. I mean, usually he's not seen charging at people. Usually it's more you hear him moving through the brush.
Yeah, or he's giving warning signs, whether it be, I guess, whooping, yahooing. That was the one I was thinking of before.
Mm-hmm.
Whistling, of course, the midnight whistler. That's probably the most infamous one.
Yeah,
and of course there's reports of Bigfoot tearing up campsites, cabins, stuff like that.
Yeah. Now, I will say that when it comes to the torn up campsites, there aren't a ton of reports of, I saw Bigfoot tear up my campsite. Usually it's they come back to their campsite when they're out looking for Bigfoot and it's all torn up. Like, oh my gosh, while we were out looking for him, he tore up our campsite. He doesn't want us here.
Except I have read about a couple stories of where they were in their tent sleeping, and Bigfoot would, of course, go walking by. Just not really tearing stuff up, but looking at some stuff.
That's what I was going to say. I've heard those reports of they see the big hand moving across their tent.
Yeah, stuff like that.
Yeah, but usually those stories don't end with Bigfoot tearing things up. It either ends with them huddled in terror for the rest of the night and he goes away, or they run screaming out of the tent and come back the next morning and find out their sandwiches are missing or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, in a podcast I was listening to yesterday, Don Schneider, which is well known in the Illinois area, he apparently once got pushed by Bigfoot. He was pushed onto his back, I think.
Oh wow!
And he was in his tent, I think.
I wonder if Bigfoot knew he was pushing him on his back, or if he just was pushing against the tent to see what would happen, and there happened to be a guy on the other end.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah, and for stuff like that, there has to be motivations. And, I'll start with the campsite idea, because that's what we were just talking about. Bigfoot could be looking for some resource, some food in that kind of scenario at a campsite. So I just wanted to bring that up.
Like any other animal.
Of course, yeah. That's assuming that's a natural creature, not what we talked about in the last video.
Right.
But, what we did also talk about was potential armed people around Bigfoot that could be threatening.
Mm-hmm.
And that could be a huge motivation for why Bigfoot would throw rocks, why Bigfoot would act aggressive, do anything to push them away or in an opposite direction from him.
Right. Bigfoot seems to be able to recognize weapons by most
Yeah.
stories, especially guns, and he doesn't like them very much. I don't know if that's because he doesn't like hunting, if he's truly this guardian of the forest who doesn't like people going out there shooting animals, or if he feels that the guns pose a threat to him. But, I mean, getting back to those fatalities, the most famous, well, maybe not the most famous, but the most gruesome fatality I ever heard of involving Bigfoot was a hunter who was found folded up and stuffed in a tree.
Yeah.
And his gun was broken and folded in exactly the same way. So it seemed like somebody was trying to send him a message. But nobody could come up with what else could do that to a human or would do that to a human except Bigfoot. So the general consensus among Bigfoot experts is that somebody crossed the line with Bigfoot there and shot him or something and paid the price.
Yeah, it's a prime example for sure. Never better bring a gun to a Bigfoot fight.
Right.
Yeah. Unless you're the Mountain Monsters crew or something.
Yeah. If you're bringing a gun, bring lots of big guns, I guess would be the answer.
Bring rifles, not just some little pistol.
Right.
Yeah.
Other than that, there's also possible territories that have not been fully, clear on how we could identify what Bigfoot's territory could be. It could be the full forest. It could be these little areas where we find those the tree structures. There's a lot of different ideas that have been thrown out there, and we've talked about that plenty. But many times when people are in deep woods or anywhere that might seem pretty foreign to them, they always come across Bigfoot. Bigfoot may act aggressive, and it could be a possibility where there's some sort of territory that we're not aware of.
Yeah, and a lot of Bigfoot experts claim to be able to read the Bigfoot signs, like the tree structures and the bent branches and things like that. Like, this is a warning, this is a territory marker, this is pointing toward water, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I don't know if they really can, or if they're just talking out of their hat, but they claim to be able to tell Bigfoot territories, and if that's the case, then maybe Bigfoot really is marking territories, and maybe the occasional camper ends up in a Bigfoot territory and pays the price, not with his life, but with being charged or having his camp messed up or just being roared at or whistled at or howled at night, so that he has the common sense to get up and leave Bigfoot's territory.
For those who think that they know the Bigfoot territories, maybe email us.
Yeah.
I'd love to talk to you and see the evidence, maybe.
Yeah, give us the Bigfoot code book. We'd love to.
Yeah.
I mean, we've pieced together a little bit from watching the shows, but if you have a comprehensive list of what everything means, that could help us a lot on our next hunt.
For sure.
Yeah. Garden of the Gods is one of the things that comes to mind in southern Illinois. It seems to be like a Bigfoot hotspot, the tribe.
Yeah. Well, I think back to Pere Marquette State Park, too, and remember, before we had our pseudo Bigfoot encounter, we found that branch across the path, almost like it was, and it was a fresh break, and there was no reason for it to be there. There was no, it was clearly something broke it. It wasn't like a lightning strike or something. Was that an attempt to get people not to go further down that path? That Bigfoot marking his territory and saying, this area is mine, people stay out. And then when we walk past it, he pushes down a tree in anger and frustration.
Yeah.
Like, darn, don't you guys read the signs?
That's an angry Bigfoot, I guess.
Yeah. And we turned around and left.
Yeah. The Garden of the Gods is like one place where I've heard like several podcasts where people say like Bigfoot hangs around this area.
Very interesting title of a, forest area.
Yeah. Yeah, that's definitely going to be on our trip list as well. We almost went this year, but we ran out of time. Maybe next year, maybe the year after, maybe next week. Who knows? You can never tell with us.
But yeah, when you're going into a forest, you'll come. Well, I guess there's a lot of different scenarios where I could say this, but if you're cutting down a bunch of trees, you're messing with the animals around there. There could be a possibility that Bigfoot might be annoyed by that and maybe take a Lorax approach and be a little bit of, I guess, offended by the food chain. Once more, we don't know the background behind Bigfoot. We don't know the, I guess, its intentions. But any scenario could be true. And, you know, this could be kind of a Lorax scenario.
Yeah, there are a lot of people who believe in Bigfoot as the guardian of the forest.
Yeah.
Yeah, true. Similar to how people view Dogman as like guardian of the cemetery.
True.
Native burial ground.
Yeah. Of course, the other thing that, you know, could cause all kinds of Bigfoot attacks would be what I call messing with Sasquatch. If you ever saw any of the old Jack Link's beef jerky commercials, I think it was Jack Link's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. I mean, obviously that's exaggerated behavior, but I think people do stuff that may mess with Sasquatch. You know, if they're
Maybe.
throwing rocks into the woods or making howls or wood knock, you know, basically anything we do, you know, then he might just have enough and decide he's going to come out and do something about it.
Yeah. Also, the Uber commercial. I don't know. Actually, that's not really messing with Sasquatch, but I just remember that one. That was
with the
another
Yeti?
one. Yeah, with the Yeti.
Yeah.
You just got teleported out of nowhere.
I like the new one with the, oh gosh, what is it? The iPhone, I think it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, where he kind of steps out of the forest and he races himself from the picture on the iPhone.
Yeah.
Oh.
That's a funny one.
Yeah.
I think I've seen that one.
Oh, that's pretty good. But speaking of funny Bigfoot behavior, or funny, friendly, happy Bigfoot behavior, there are actually reports of that as well.
Good.
There are people who, there are people who claim to have like a friendly relationship with Sasquatch. I remember listening to a podcast, an interview with a woman from Peoria, who her claim was that Bigfoot resonates at a different frequency than we do, so they're not always visible to our eye. But there are times when our frequencies kind of cross and you can see them, and she claims to have like a family of Bigfoots living on her property, and at times they're visible, at times they're not, but she's always aware that they're there. And she's like she says the young Bigfoots like play in her closets with their stuff. You know, she leaves gifts for them out there and everything, and that's, you know, pretty common behavior among, you know, Bigfoot researchers, is to leave apples or protein bars or things like that. Sometimes Bigfoot will take them and leave something else, colored rock or bent stick or something like that. And that, you know, that could be interpreted as friendly behavior, I would think.
Yeah, I actually heard that podcast too. It was very interesting.
Yeah, you know, when you hear stuff like that, there, you know, immediately the skeptic in you comes out and you're like, okay, you're telepathically communicating with Bigfoot. They're resonating on a different frequency. They're all around you, and you know, your BS meter starts to go up. But then you take a step back and look at it kind of dispassionately, and you say, well, you know, the different frequency thing would explain a lot in terms of why people sometimes see them and sometimes don't. You know, we don't know this woman. She could be telling the truth. And,
Yeah.
you know, we certainly don't know any better than she does.
Yeah, I mean, it's just an internet podcast, I guess, so you can't know everything.
Yeah. But some of the other things that Bigfoot has been reported doing, and I'm going to use Les Stroud as an example in this one. Survivor Man. He had an incident where he was in kind of a tough spot, and he was really concerned, and he thought he heard a Bigfoot, and it actually kind of focused him and got him out of the spot that he was in. And he claimed that this is a common occurrence that he hears about, where people are, you know, they're stranded in the middle of the woods, they're lost, they're starving, and somehow or another Bigfoot points them toward the right path, either scaring them onto the right path, or, you know, breaking branches in such a way that it points them toward the right path, or things like that. So it really, there is this idea that Bigfoot is not just the guardian of the forest, but he's also really, really helpful.
That's a controversial one.
Yeah. It is. I mean, what I would say to the Les Stroud thing is that it's more in line with our idea that cryptids in general are attracted to strong emotion. You know, because if you're panicked and starving and lost, you're going to be sending out these waves of panic and deep emotion that may trigger something, like the people who are out there in despair and things like that have led to dogman encounters and Bigfoot encounters. I would put that up as an alternate explanation. I like his better about it being, Bigfoot just wants to help.
Yeah, it sounds similar to Mothman, how Mothman possibly tries to help you.
Yeah.
Warn them about it.
Yeah. Now, if you want to talk about a really helpful Bigfoot, listen to some of those podcasts about fights between Bigfoot and Dogman.
Yeah.
'Cause usually the story is similar, where it's a person out in the woods, they get attacked by Dogman, they're sure this is the end. Out of nowhere, Bigfoot or a family of Bigfoots shows up and they just start wailing on Dogman and save the lives of the people who are out in the woods. Really common story, actually. I've probably heard 5 or 6 different versions of it now from different regions. It could be that it's just an entertaining story to put on the internet, but if you keep hearing the same story over and over, you got to wonder if maybe there's some truth to it.
Who knows?
So, I guess with all of these ideas laid out, what are your impressions? You guys think that Bigfoot could be classified as good or evil?
I personally don't think so. I think I heard a podcast yesterday where it was mentioned that Bigfoot could be like humans, where there's good ones, there's bad ones. Could be I think there could be in between as well. Some people are both good and bad. You have a good side and a bad side. I think that could be what's going on here.
Yeah, I could be good or bad depending on what time of day you talk to me and whether or not I've had coffee yet.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I'd love to say that, or I'd like to hope that Bigfoot is good and all and just a friendly creature trying to help. But there's a lot of mixed stories out there, and you don't have the psychology behind Bigfoot at all. So
Yeah.
maybe if we just catch a Bigfoot and dissect his brain.
Yeah. I'd rather not do that.
No.
Yeah, I guess I turn back to, regular, well-known creatures of the forest, and I think to myself, coyotes are pretty friendly until they're hungry.
That's true.
Maybe Bigfoot is one of those that, he's more than happy to be your friend until food is scarce, and then maybe you become part of the menu. But I do agree with your concept of each individual needs to be judged on his own. I do think of Bigfoot as more of a higher level thinking creature than just an animal. I think he's more human-like in terms of his ability to reason. And if we were to apply human logic to him or human expectations to him, there's no way any of us would look at one race of people and say, okay, that race is evil or that race is good. I mean, that's just wrong. You can't do that.
Yeah.
But that's essentially what this entire question is trying to do to an entire species with Bigfoot. We're looking at an entire species of possibly human-related creature and say, oh, well, because they look like this, they are always good. Or because they look like this, they are always evil. And that just, to somebody who grew up in this day and age of equality and acceptance and understanding that we're all sharing this world together, that just feels wrong. I mean, so wrong.
Yeah.
Oh, and I just thought of something. Sometimes people shoot Bigfoot. At least there's reports of that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's possible that Bigfoots maybe have family members that were shot, and maybe they're
scared or angry.
Yeah.
I certainly could easily see a Bigfoot going on the rampage if a family member were not, just like a human would. Because Bigfoot, as far as I know, does not have a police department or a justice system. So, I have a feeling it's forest justice if you kill a baby Bigfoot or something.
Yeah.
So that's our thoughts on it, and we would certainly love to hear your thoughts about Bigfoot or other cryptids, and where they fall on the good versus evil scale, and your philosophical approach to this. We'd also love to hear about any encounters you've had with Bigfoot or other cryptids or ghosts or aliens. We're always happy to hear your stories, whether you want to tell them straight out in the comment section or turn in an anonymous contact form. In any case, you guys make this podcast. Basically, you tell us what you want to hear. You tell us what you want to talk about. You tell us what's happened to you so that we can check into it. And as always, thank you for listening. Thank you for subscribing.